Hello guys, and welcome to another experience video. Of course, a new area was introduced, so as a result I decided to make another experience video. And for today I'm going to be talking about the new tough Shultz monsters that were introduced at the Sausan's area. Before I get started with the actual video though, I want to mention a few things that I keep repeating over and over on all of my experience videos. So first things first, for this particular test, I'm trying to kill the monsters as fast as I possibly can. So as a result of that, I'm not looting anything from the ground manually. So the only loot that I'm getting is from my pets, and I myself am trying to basically optimize my skills to try to kill the monsters as fast as I possibly can. The reason why I'm doing that is because this test is only meant to show me the maximum potential of experience that I could get with my character, and also all of my experience videos are made from the perspective of my wizard, and in all of them I'm trying to, or actually I am reducing the experience back to 100%, so every experience video should be comparable to each other. Now for this particular area, since monsters have so much HP, I basically decided to go with the best grinding gear that I could afford, or that I already have. So for this test I'm using a kutum offhand, and I'm using my AP accessories, just to make sure I have as much attack power as possible, and that so-called hidden monster damage from the kutum offhand. And in my kutum offhand I have two crit damage gems that are supposedly going to give me more damage than the AP gems for the offhand. So in terms of damage, my gear should be more than enough to actually handle this area, especially since I'm already level 60. Now, one more thing that I want to mention is that as a wizard I do have a lot of damage on my AoEs, because usually, for example, at bandits or at pirates or at Sausans, I am able to one-shot the monsters just by using one AoE, and on this area I am barely getting the monsters killed with two AoEs. So sometimes I have to use two AoEs, sometimes three, and for most classes they are going to have to use more. So I would expect most classes to grind slower than I am, at least in this area. Now, with all of that out of the way, if I happen to miss something, then it's probably going to be shown on the screen. So let's finally get started with the actual video. When I got here, the first thing that I did was to start searching for rotations, because obviously I didn't know any of them, and in the process I managed to find two other people who were already grinding at this spot. So for this first rotation on this video, I'm going to be showing the experience from this party of 3 people. Now, from what I know, the experience in a party of 3 to 5 people is reduced to 50%. So basically, if you're going to grind in a party, if you already have 3 people, then you're going to get the same experience if you get 4 or 5. So that's why I would say that grinding with 3 people in a party is pretty inefficient, because you get the same amount of experience and you are of course doing less damage because there's 2 people missing. So I'm still going to be showing this experience, but I'm not sure how relevant it will be. Also, if you are watching the video on the background so far, then you should know that this is the first experience video in which I actually recorded the background footage in the same time as the test. So basically what you see on the background is exactly the speed that I had while testing these areas. So a lot of talk, and I still haven't gotten into the part with the numbers. Well, on this rotation I grinded exactly 20 minutes. That's because after 20 minutes I was starting to get overweight from the drops and I had to stop. Now, since so far level 58 was my base level for experience, then I'm going to be converting all of the experience back to level 58. So on this rotation, if the experience is reduced back to the normal 100% ratio and it is converted all the way back to level 58, then I got about 0.014% experience per minute, which if you saw my previous experience videos, it is pretty bad. But then again, this is a party of 3 people, so as I said, it's not really that relevant. and it is only 2 random people that I found on this spot, so they of course don't have the same level of gear as I do, so you might be able to optimize this better, but for a starting point as the first value for this video, it isn't really that overwhelming. So next up, after this party broke, I came back here and I tried to find this exact same rotation empty to test it solo, because obviously all of my experience videos are tested solo. So I managed to find this rotation and I tested it twice, because the first time I tested it when it was night time, and of course I had to basically add 50% experience, which I believe it is a night time, and then I tested it one more time on daytime as I normally do, just to make sure that the nighttime buff is indeed 50%. So to talk about the first part, on the night time I grinded on this rotation exactly 18 minutes, and in this time again, if I do all of the experience back to 100% and it is converted back to a level 58 player, it is about 0.018 or almost 19% experience per minute. Of course, if you are interested on the other values for level 59 or level 60, they are displayed on the screen. Now obviously from what you can see, 0.019% experience per minute is way better than it was on that party of 3 people. So as I said, grinding solo is going to give you more experience, but still this spot doesn't come anywhere near the other areas that I tested before, like for example bandits or pirates, which obviously have well over 0.020% experience per minute. So in my opinion, even though this area is new, so far from what I can see, it isn't anywhere near the level of experience that other areas offer. So now to talk about the second part, as I said, I tested this rotation again just to make sure that the experience for the nighttime was indeed 50%, and if I get a similar experience value this time, then it should mean that the experience was indeed 50%. So I tested this rotation again, and I tested it for 20 minutes exactly, so I have the exact same time, and again if I do the experience back to 100% and it's converted to level 58, then this time I got 0.019% experience per minute. So it was a little bit more, and as I imagine, I basically grinded a little bit faster this time. So I'm going to be making an average out of these two values, so the average from these two values will be the experience for this rotation. Now, if you want to grind this rotation, you can do so, but just know that I only tested 2 rotations for this video because these were shown to me and these seemed to be pretty good. In the end, these might not be official rotations. So when this area becomes older and people learn more efficient rotations, then this one might not be that usable. Still, for now, from what I can see in this area, there are only enough monsters to make 2 rotations, and one of them seems to be pretty well known or grinded by most people. So the second rotation that I'm going to be talking next should be basically an official rotation. Also, I didn't mention this yet, but since the monsters here die so slowly and they are so dense, then basically in the future I'm sure people will break this first rotation and make 2 separate rotations out of the monsters on this side of the map, because it is pretty easy to grind here solo, and even if you're doing this first rotation, you're not going to be able to kill all of the monsters and be back to the spawn point and have the mobs not respawned. So basically while grinding solo, it's impossible to grind fast enough to cover the entire rotation on your own. Now, moving on to the second rotation on this video, first off, again I tested the rotation on a party of 5 people, because when I got to this rotation the first time, again it was taken and the team was already here. So I thought why not, because most people who are going to grind this spot are most likely going to be in a party, since the drops are pretty much the same as the normal Sausan drops. So you're going to get overweight very fast. if you come here to grind solo. Now in this party of 5 people, even though the other players around me were not at the same gear score as me or under my level, still doing this exact same rotation that you see on the screen, I was able to basically complete the entire circle, and when I was back to spawn point the mobs were just respawning in time. As in, sometimes they were of course fully respawned, but other times they were still in the middle of the respawn timer. As in, some mobs were still popping into existence. So in this team of 5 people, I got to grind exactly 16 minutes, or more precisely 15 minutes and 40 seconds on a party of 5 people, and then 20 more seconds with only 4 people, because one of the players had to leave, and then I grinded 20 more seconds just to make exactly 16 minutes. But again, since the experience is supposedly going to be 50%, then it shouldn't influence the test at all. So in this time, if I reduce the experience back to 100% and I convert it all the way down to level 58, then it was again about 0.014% experience per minute. So it was pretty close to the experience that I got on the first team. And of course, if you want to check the values for level 59 and level 60, you can see those on the screen. But the conclusion is that considering the fact that I got 2 more people, I still didn't really get that much more experience. Moving on to the last test for this video, again after the party broke I tried to switch channels until I found this exact same rotation empty, and sadly I only got to test it again while it was night time and I had my 200% experience buff and so on. So it's basically the same as the first solo tests from this video. Also, I kind of feel like this time I was grinding a little bit faster than on the previous rotation, because mobs were on smaller density but more groups, so it was easier to catch them into my AoEs and kill them quickly. So for this rotation I grinded exactly 19 minutes because again I got overweight, and in this time if I reduce the experience back to 100% and to level 58, then it is around 0.020% experience per minute, which of course it is the best experience value that I got so far on this area. But still, even with this value, it doesn't compare to bandits or pirates or other spots similar to those. So even with this best rotation that I did so far, it's still not at the level that I would want it to be. Considering the fact that you have to kill these monsters slower, it's also going to result in the fact that you're going to get less skill points. So if you're looking for an area to grind for experience, I wouldn't suggest you grind here, just because you're going to get less skill points since you're going to kill less monsters, and the experience isn't really that great. Especially if you are in a team of 5 people, or it doesn't really matter how many people, but if you're grinding here in a team, then you're going to get less experience than grinding solo. So as a result of that, I would probably say that this area is only going to be grindable or good to grind if you're here for money. I personally, as a conclusion, quite like this place and also hate it, because in a way I like the fact that it kind of pushes players to make teams in order to grind efficiently here, but on the other hand I don't like the fact that it isn't really that great. I mean, the drops are not that spectacular and the experience is by far not the best. So you can just go make a party at Pirates and you're still going to get more money and more experience. So even though this is supposedly new content for us, it still kind of feels like old content. In the end, it's entirely up to you if you want to grind here. I basically made these tests and these rotations to give you an idea about what is the average experience you could make on this spot. And also, as I said previously on the video, I am a wizard and I'm killing quite fast. So for most other classes the experience will be even lower. So at this point I'm about done with the video, and before I end it I just want to say a quick message to my Patreons that I know I kind of promised a video on a different topic for today, but since this is new content and I also wanted to grind here, I decided to push this video out sooner. So I'm still going to be making the other one for the next time. And for the other people on YouTube, I just want to say thanks for watching the video, and if you enjoyed it or if you found some information out of it, then I hope to see you guys next time.